Hello, hello, and welcome to episode 157 of the Compassion and Cucumbers podcast. I'm Christine.
And I'm Sam.
Here's what we got going on in today's show. In our Noteworthy segment, we'll be discussing the recent closing of a Boar's Head meat processing plant, and we'll let you know what's going on with that.
And our main topic takes a look at the national Vegfest organization, Vegandale. What's going on, and why are vendors and attendees complaining?
Yeah, but before we get into all that, let's talk a little bit about what we've been up to. You may have noticed that Sam's voice is a little extra sultry this week.
I don't know that I'd call it sultry.
She's battling a small case of laryngitis.
Yeah, it's laryngitis, and we're not sure what it came from. It could have been COVID. It could have been RSV. Who knows?
Yeah, the COVID, both of those tests came back negative, but
they did say that the RSV, like the viral load, could have been lower than the test would detect.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, and the same with COVID.
Yeah.
And there have been a lot of recent cases of people getting COVID and having like super mild symptoms, which,
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose that's good. The super mild symptoms are good.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sam was kind of down for the count for part of the week. And,
I really was.
Yeah.
Yeah, just, not fun.
Yeah, not fun at all. And I have on our outline here, it just says soup, soup, soup.
We had so much soup.
Sam just wanted soup. That's
I
all he
did.
wanted. So I just kept
wanted
making soup.
Yes, absolutely. And it was beautiful. I do love that soup season is upon us.
Yeah.
I mean, well, almost, not quite, but it's getting close. As we turn into, late September, early October, and we firmly get into fall. I just love me some soup.
Yeah, so I made a vegetable noodle.
You did?
And I made an Italian sausage and vegetable soup with some Beyond sausage. It turned out really good.
That was really good.
Yeah, and so we just, with soup, you make a big batch, and we were just like eating it as leftovers throughout the week. I got some really good, Wegmans makes this really good organic rosemary olive oil bread.
Fantastic.
Yeah, if you haven't tried that, if you have a Wegmans near you, check that out because it's really good with soup.
Definitely. Yeah, so we literally had soup for days.
We did. We really did. And speaking of food, we have a recipe this week.
We do. So in addition to making a whole bunch of soup this week, Christine made possibly the best iteration of your chocolate chip walnut banana bread that has ever existed.
Yeah, so here is this week's recipe from our vegan kitchen. Sam let the cat out of the bag. It is my chocolate chip walnut banana bread. I call the recipe Bananas for Chocolate Banana Bread. And here's a little twist I want to add. If you text us through the text link in the show description, either on your podcast app or on YouTube, text us the word bananas, include your email address, and I will send you the recipe for this banana bread.
I love that. That's really awesome.
Yeah. So that's it. Text the word bananas and you can have the recipe.
All right. I mean, are you going to talk about the recipe at all? Are we going to tell them what the secret ingredient was?
Well, I kind of mixed it up a little bit because we had some of these plums that we got at a farm stand, the little purple ones.
Oh, they're gorgeous.
Which I love. When I was growing up, we had a plum tree in our backyard and it made those little purple plums. And it's just, anytime I have one, it just kind of brings me right back to that old plum tree, right?
Yeah.
So we had a couple that were like, they were going too ripe. So I added them into the banana bread.
And this was a fantastic choice. I mean, yes, we had to bake the bread a little longer because there was more moisture.
It's true. It took roughly 10 minutes longer to bake.
There you go.
Yeah.
But the plums just added this beautiful, like sharp, almost citrusy flavor.
It was a nice little hit of fruity flavor.
It was really wonderful.
Yeah.
And it was not something that I ever would have thought of, putting plums into a banana bread. It just would not cross my mind. So I have to say, it was really fabulous.
Yeah, so good to know you can add other fruits. Mm-hmm. And, I considered maybe upping the flour in the recipe, and I could have done that, but I'm like, I'm not going to mess with it. I'm just going to do it the way it is, add in the plums, and see what happens.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
it turned out fine. I just, like Sam said, we just had to bake it a little longer.
Right. And I think if you had added more flour, it would have gone a bit closer back to bread texture.
Yeah.
Because this did have more of a cake texture.
Yeah, it was cakey.
Than your usual banana bread.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a
so
little...
maybe I could have added maybe a quarter cup more flour or something.
Maybe, but I don't even know if it needed it.
Yeah, I was afraid of making it stodgy, and I didn't want it to turn out that way. So anyway.
I got it.
Anyway, it is a tried and true recipe that I have tweaked over the years, and I think it turns out really well when I make it now. So
yeah, and it really is kind of addictive.
It's really good.
It does not last long when Christine bakes it.
It doesn't. We have it for breakfast. We have it for dessert.
We have it for a snack.
We have it, yeah. And it's gone within a few days.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, that brings us to our noteworthy section. And like we said at the top of the show, this week's noteworthy section, we're going to be discussing the Boar's Head meat processing plant that closed after a deadly Listeria outbreak.
Yes, so this is coming from CBS News Money Watch, article written by Kate Gibson. Boar's Head Provisions will no longer make liverwurst and is closing the Virginia facility at the center of a Listeria outbreak that killed 9 people and hospitalized at least 57 in 18 states, the producer of deli meats announced on Friday. Quote, "We understand the gravity of this situation and the profound impact it has had on affected families. Comprehensive measures are being implemented to prevent such an incident from ever happening again," the company said in a statement posted on its website. The plant in Jarrett, Virginia, has not been operational since late July, when the company recalled millions of pounds of deli meat products after Listeria was detected in liverwurst produced at the facility. Inspectors turned up dozens of violations at the plant, the setting for the nation's largest listeriosis outbreak since one linked to cantaloupe in 2011, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Federal inspectors cited the plant repeatedly after finding leftover meat on equipment, mold and mildew buildup, insects in and around deli meats, and puddles of blood on the plant's floor. The company's investigation found the process used to make liverwurst to be behind the contamination and has therefore decided to no longer make the product at any of its facilities, Boar's Head stated. Roughly 500 union workers are impacted by the company's decision to close the plant, according to the United Food and Commercial Workers, the union that represents them. Listeria monocytogenes is a bacterium that can spread through water, mist, on workers' clothes and hands, and improperly sanitized equipment. In 2002, a Listeria outbreak in turkey deli meat was linked to 8 deaths and 3 fetal deaths among pregnant women, according to an account published by the National Library of Medicine. The USDA has a zero-tolerance policy for Listeria in ready-to-eat meats, meaning any amount of contamination makes the product unsafe for consumption. In addition to meats, the privately held Boar's Head brand, started in 1905, includes cheeses, hummus, and condiments.
Yeah, so definitely stay away from that brand if you see it anywhere, like hummus and things like that.
Yes, and they are a pretty pervasive brand.
Yeah.
I know that before we went vegan, and particularly when I was back in Massachusetts, like I would get turkey deli meat pretty regularly.
And it was that brand?
Yes, absolutely. You know, again, just another underlining of the dangers of consuming animal flesh.
Yeah, the meat production itself. There was another article, a CNN article, that went a little further in citing what the Department of Agriculture found. like Sam stated in that other article, they said they found insects, mold, blood, and puddles. This article also says they found rusty equipment, peeling and flaking paint, loose caulk, holes in the walls, product residue on surfaces, and dripping condensation. It sounds like a nightmare.
It really does. And so, not only is the process of creating these products cruel, but it's not even being done in a way that is safe for humans.
Yeah.
Machines are not being properly inspected, cleaned, sanitized. The environments that these products are being created in are incredibly unsanitary.
Yeah.
And so it honestly surprises me that we don't see more of this kind of outbreak.
Yeah, I think it's just we're just kind of playing a little game of Russian roulette where meat processing is concerned.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, I know we're probably preaching to the choir here in a big way, but just another way of saying, this just isn't the way to do things.
Yeah. It's another pandemic or something just waiting to happen. The animal agriculture industry is just a hotbed of zoological disease, and in the processing of the poor animals that are stuck in that system also create things like this. So, just another reason to stay away.
Yes.
Stay away from the animals. And that brings us to our main topic. Speaking of animals, what's the deal with Vegandale? Are you familiar with the Vegandale Vegfest festivals that are going on all over the country?
Well, we went to a Vegandale festival in Toronto back in the fall of 2021.
Yeah.
When we'd first started the podcast.
Right.
And we had a lovely time. But the thing is, at that time, the event was just coming back from pandemic.
Right.
And so they limited the number of people that were permitted to buy tickets, number one. Number two, everything was incredibly spaced out. Again,
right, due to COVID. Mm-hmm.
Because of pandemic regulations. It was an outdoor event. And so people weren't required to be masked unless they were in close proximity of other people.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of a mask on, mask off kind of situation.
Right.
And we had a good time. But apparently, in the last 3 years, the experience of a Vegandale Vegfest has really gone downhill.
Yeah. I was first alerted to issues by a post that was made by a vendor that we're familiar with, Ox's Way. And we met them at the Pittsburgh Vegfest a couple of years ago. And they travel all over, to different Vegfests. Anyway, they recently made a post on Instagram, and it kind of I'm like, what is going on with Vegandale? So I started looking into it, and then yesterday or the day before, I started seeing people complaining about the Vegandale event that happened in New York City. So I'll just read you a little bit of Ox's Way's post because they're giving the vendor perspective. And their post says, "Do you all see what's going down this weekend? And if you stand for this BS, you all will fall for anything. Vegandale used to be the standard in national vegan events. However, their failing business model since 2019 has caused them to enlist some predatory tactics to remain viable. Those tactics include demanding 30% of all vendor business, undisclosed add-ons of a local sales tax, a 3.5 transaction fee going cashless, and a local security deposit for every city you wish to participate into the prices that we submit for our menu items. Not in addition to. No manager's access to get real-time data on our sales, basically being forced to take their word on how we do after their events and accept whatever we're offered as payment at the end of the event." Now, this might sound weird, but what's happened with Vegandale is they've gone cashless. And if you've been to a Vegandale event recently, you'll know that they're giving out bracelets that you wear with a QR code on it, and then you load your money onto the bracelet and then go around to each vendor. The vendor scans your QR code and then deducts the appropriate amount from the account that's linked to your bracelet. So they just have to take, like he's saying, they just have to take their word for it at the end of the day when they submit their receipts that they're getting the correct amount of money back. Not only that, but people were complaining that you had to load like a minimum of, say, $30 onto your bracelet. And then if you didn't spend that $30, you couldn't get your money back. They weren't offering to return any unused money on the bracelet.
Yeah.
And that just seems ridiculous.
Well, it is ridiculous. I mean, if you take the number of things that they're kind of tacking on, so not only are these vendors paying a registration fee for each city that they are presenting at, each one that they're vending at, now Vegandale is taking a 30% cut of their sales, plus a 3.5% sales tax,
right?
Plus additional hidden fees
for use of this cashless system.
And they're asking vendors to wait 7 to 10 days
to get their money. Yeah, and they basically have to turn their books over to Vegandale.
Yeah.
To get their money.
This is insane.
Yeah. So they go on to say not a single vendor that shows up to this was the Philadelphia Vegandale. Not a single vendor that shows up to the Philly event this weekend can afford to give away 41.5% of each transaction they generate this weekend back to the house. Every single vendor will take a loss this weekend. I don't care who they are, and my family and community deserves better than to walk into this blindly to be set up for a loss. So he's basically warning vendors not to deal with Vegandale anymore.
Right. And also to make sure that people know that there are locally organized Vegfests that are not associated with the Vegandale brand. And there are plenty of them. I mean, we have never done a Vegandale. It's a little bit too big for us at this point. And
they want too much. And now that this cashless model is out, we will never do a vegan. It's just, you would have to be a very large organization in order to make that pay off for you.
Absolutely. I mean, and just the idea of giving up autonomy over your sales, not being able to look at how you're doing, not being able to offer people multiple methods of payment. I mean, every vendor out there, us included, we accept cash. We're set up for cards. We're set up for contactless payment.
Yeah, I guarantee every vendor that they took on has the ability in their point of sale to either take cash or card.
Yeah.
So it just seems like a money grab.
Well, absolutely, because also with the bracelets, you're forcing your vendors to learn a new point of sale system on the spot in the moment. And that's going to make transaction time longer. It's going to make wait times longer. Yeah. It's going to substantially decrease the patron experience. And so, I mean, and honestly, considering that this is a vegan event, this is really unconscionable.
Yeah.
If we think of what should be at the heart of veganism, which is empathy and compassion and generosity, that's completely absent here.
It seems to be. Yeah.
It really does seem to be like vegan consumerism or vegan commercialism or vegan capitalism gone all kinds of wrong.
Yeah, way wrong. People were calling it the Fire Festival of the vegan world. And if you're not familiar, the Fire Festival was a huge music festival that ended up taking everyone's money, and it was just a disaster. The festival never really happened. Anyway, so in Chicago, there's an article here about some trouble in Chicago, and the headline of the article is, "As Vegandale complaints pile up, city officials say they want to meet with organizers."
City officials are now stepping in to address issues with Vegandale, a popular international vegan fest that saw numerous issues this year. A Department of Cultural Affairs and Special Events spokesperson confirmed the agency is actively addressing the complaints received and plans to meet with Vegandale's organizers in the coming days. This article, by the way, is from July. Vegandale organizers have not responded to emails from Block Club requesting comment. Attendees of the Vegandale Chicago pop-up in Grant Park last month said the two-day event was poorly organized and at times chaotic. They cited a number of issues from arbitrarily enforced rules and malfunctioning cashless wristbands to a near stampede during rapper Saweetie's performance that left several people injured. Some Chicago vendors are still awaiting payment from organizers. Julianne Davis, the vegan cheese lady, told Block Club she's still looking for her check despite receiving an email Friday from organizers saying the funds should already be in her bank account. Davis, who travels across the country for dozens of events every year, says she regrets accepting the invitation from Vegandale organizers to join the event. I paid over $700 for a booth space and electricity, said Davis, who owns a cafe in Lafayette, Indiana. Last year, it was $1,000 for the booth fee. This year, they decided to reduce the price slightly and instead provide us with their own point of sale and charge an extra 30% plus a 3.5% transaction fee. So if you made $5,000, you already paid a booth fee, plus they take $1,500 and 3.5% per transaction. After you pay for your preparation, employees, travel, and hotel, the vendor gets nothing.
Yeah, it's a loss. You're taking a loss.
The small business owner said she barely broke even doing Vegandale, and she and her employees were exhausted and demoralized by the end of the two-day event. On top of those problems, the portable toilets at the fest ran out of bathroom tissue and sanitizer, and there were no hand-washing stations for attendees to use, Davis said. This is a food festival. Why wouldn't you have hand-washing stations? It's unsanitary, Davis said. You've got 40,000 people using the bathroom without a way of washing their hands. I hope nobody got sick because of this. While the unsanitary conditions were unsettling for Davis and her employees, seeing attendees get sick from the heat made them feel even worse, she said. Davis said she and her team counted at least 17 people who received medical attention from EMTs stationed at the event. Despite the hot and humid weather, there was no free water available, Davis said. And on the day of the near stampede, Davis didn't see any security people. According to clips on TikTok, Saweetie abruptly stopped during a song and walked to the front of the stage and asked for the music to be stopped. Hold on, stop it. I know y'all ain't doing what I think y'all doing. Is everybody safe? The rapper said, looking out toward the crowd. Large swaths of the crowd, unsure of what was happening, began frantically running away. Other clips show some of the metal barriers turned over and belongings left behind as people tried to leave. I only saw security when we arrived in the mornings and when we left, Davis said. I didn't see any during the day. I didn't see them on Sunday evening when we had a stampede of thousands of customers running toward us and into our booths, trying to jump over the fence behind us or trying to hide behind us. We got no notice of what was going on. There were rumors of someone being shot and another rumor of a fight with a gun. People knocked over equipment and jumped on tables trying to get away. We got no information during or after from security or Vegandale officials. No one checked on us to see if we needed help. The announcer on the other side of the field was hard to understand and didn't explain it either. If Davis had the ears of the organizers, the first thing she would address is how much money the fest takes from vendors, she said. Stop being so greedy and care about who you're actually trying to serve. They need to revisit what their mission statement is, what their goals are, and think about the people instead of thinking about their profit. Think about the people who are attending and the people who are serving people that are attending. Nahum St. Martin, a former Vegandale vendor, also cited money-grabbing antics of organizers as the reason his vegan catering company, Meat by St. Martin, pulled out of participating this year. In prior years, it was always pretty succinct. They brought in lots of crowds and lots of food vendors. The pricing was not astronomical, so at that point, it was no issue. But I sensed that they're trying to be bigger than just a vegan food festival. As they rolled out what they were doing this year, that pretty much guaranteed that's what they want to do. They want to be a big Lollapalooza. Vendors at this year's festival told Saint Martin another issue this time around was Grant Park's spotty Wi-Fi service, which would cause the point-of-sale system to malfunction. There was no pre-training for how to use their system, so vendors are given their template that day, customers are given a wristband that day, and two people unaware of how to use each side of the system are trying to work with each other to get that transaction complete, which causes more lines. Like Davis, Saint Martin was invited by organizers to return for this year's Vegandale. He declined after learning of the price increase for vendors. The way they implemented it was just horrific. That, coupled with all these hidden fees and increased fees, that's unsavory in my mind. It makes me sick. The chaos extended beyond Chicago as Vegandale Manchester ticket holders in the United Kingdom were informed in the weeks and days leading up to the July 6th event that it was canceled due to unforeseen circumstances. Beatrix Hajdu and her friend bought tickets for the Manchester Festival April 17th. They were informed of the cancellation May 9th via email and told to expect refunds in the next 14 to 30 days. 14 days had passed, and I wrote an email because I couldn't find a phone number or any other contact details on their website. At that moment, I knew something was amiss. They haven't responded to any of my 4 or 5 emails. After 55 days, I contacted my bank, and they reimbursed me the $28, Hajdu said.
Yeah, so it seems like this business model it's doomed. I mean, word is getting out. Vendors are unhappy. Security is nothing. It's a disaster waiting to happen.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's one thing to see an event as successful or unsuccessful from one side of the coin, from the attendee side of the coin or the vendor side of the coin. But here it seems like the problems are just all the way around. The vendors aren't happy. The attendees aren't happy. It doesn't even sound like the talent that they got to come perform were particularly happy with the situation. And it wasn't just Chicago. It wasn't just Philadelphia. New York was also, from what I understand, a bit of a dumpster fire.
Yeah, I reached out to Reddit to see what people were saying about New York because I did see some posts on Instagram about people complaining about wait times. The event starts at 11, and I know when we went, now it was just after COVID, so it wasn't as crowded. It wasn't as large of an event as it is now. But people who got there were waiting 2 and 3 hours to get in. They didn't have sufficient staff to screen because they had metal detectors, and they were screening entrance. One terrible thing that I heard is that they were dumping people's water bottles, that you were not allowed to bring your own water in. And one of the articles said they weren't providing, I don't know if the article said that. Well, they said they had no hand washing stations.
And also that there was no free water available.
They weren't providing water. And somebody else said, and I don't know if they were a vendor or not, but they said they weren't allowing vendors to sell water. They wanted people buying the Vegandale water and no other water.
Yeah, that's just insane.
Especially since it's been so hot.
You're talking about July in Chicago.
Yeah.
Come on.
I mean, now New York City was just, I think, last week.
Well, but
still very warm.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, that's very simply dangerous.
Yeah, you're just asking for trouble. You're asking for people to be passing out from the heat. And
that's right.
I mean, they're already spending all their money on food, and now they have to buy your water. And really, I don't have a problem with people selling water. That's great. But to not let people bring their own, that's terrible.
Yeah.
To actually be dumping people's water bottles at the door, that's terrible.
And I can't tell you how grateful we were at our last Vegfest in Rochester, where there was a station where we could fill up our water bottles.
Yeah, water bottle filling station.
We went through a lot of water that day.
Yeah, and I can tell you most locally run Vegfests will have some way for you to obtain water, and usually it's free.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember our very first Vegfest, our first Western New York Vegfest. Not only were they providing water for the vendors, but they were bringing us free watermelons.
Right.
Just because it was so warm.
Yeah, they were giving us half of those mini watermelons
those
and a
little
spoon.
mini watermelons. It was so great.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. And so I have to say, going to a Vegandale in Toronto immediately post-pandemic with about 8,000 people, because I remember that was the limit of the ticket sales that year.
Right, because of the
protocols. Of the pandemic, right. So it was going to be about 8,000 people. And it was a perfectly manageable event. It was a lovely event.
It was.
Actually.
We had a good time.
We had a great time. But if you know, in a city like New York, Philadelphia, Chicago, LA, if you know that you're expecting 40,000 plus people over the space of 2 days, you plan for that and you make sure that all of the necessary resources are there. And if you're doing, screens, if you're doing security checks and you're making people walk through metal detectors, you don't have 3 for 40,000 people.
Right.
You have enough security to make sure that there is no danger to the vendors or to the attendees.
Yeah.
You have appropriate bathroom facilities and hand sanitizing facilities. How are you asking a vendor serving food
to not have a place to wash their hands?
Not be able to wash their hands? That's insane.
That is insane. And I'm sure that a lot of the vendors provided their own hand washing stations.
I'm sure.
Because I think there are some health department regulations where that is concerned, but still, there definitely should be hand washing stations where there's food, right?
Any place where there's food.
Oh my gosh. Oh, and then some people said in New York, without being told at all, they got there and discovered you had to pay $30 to park.
Oh, gosh.
So, I mean, it is New York.
It is.
Okay. But that should have been, something that was plain. That it was out there.
Absolutely.
Here's what your ticket's going to cost. Here's what parking's going to cost. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of people were, kind of taken aback by the fact that they had this minimum that they had to put on their bracelet thing.
Yeah.
And they had to pay $30. It turned into a very expensive proposition.
Absolutely.
Tickets to get in, money for food, $30 for parking. Now you got to buy water. It's like, wow.
And of course, if the vendors are aware that the organization is essentially taking 41.5% of their proceeds on a given day, do you think they're not going to jack the prices up?
They have to.
They have no choice.
Yeah, they have to. And people did complain that the food was really expensive. Well, yeah, because the vendors probably did the math and went, in order for us to break even, we need to raise the prices on our stuff.
Yeah. So, all I really have to say about this is, you know what? Shame on you, Vegandale.
Yeah. Shame.
Shame on you.
Shame. Glittering Parsnip on Reddit said that...
What a great name.
Yeah. Said that they stood in line for 2 hours. They had 2 ambulances come and take care of women that had fainted in line. Some older people were in line too, one with a walker. It literally broke their heart to see them. If I was struggling as a 30-year-old, I can't imagine how they were doing. I didn't see one employee. Then once the first line was done, we realized we didn't have to wait in line. The event is expensive. Average price of a meal, it's $22, and only got some free samples of drinks. So she spent $240 overall.
Wow.
Yeah. And she said, thank God I didn't buy the VIP pass, as the VIP area was empty. Yeah, I mean, wow.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. Personally, I think that entrance to a vegan festival should be free.
I mean, especially in this instance, when they're getting that much money from the vendors, they can afford to make it free.
Absolutely. And that's going to bring more people in. Yeah. I'm sorry, but if you're charging $30 per ticket and then you're charging exorbitant amounts of money for food and water.
Yeah.
And again, the vendors have no choice in this because of the cash grab being done by the organizers. And then they have to pay for parking. And then it's just insane. So once again, shame on you, Vegandale.
Shame. Shame.
Yeah, you're giving Vegfests a bad name.
Yeah, they really are. They really are. And I can't help but think about the person who's never been to a Vegfest.
Seriously.
And this is their first Vegfest experience. That would make me go, okay, I guess I don't like Vegfests.
Right.
Right? If you didn't know that most locally run and organized Vegfests are not like this.
Nope.
Then you would just think it's something that it's just not something you want to do.
Well, and also it's underlining the myth, or it's reinforcing, I should say, the myth that being vegan is necessarily expensive.
Yeah.
Because if you're going in and you're being asked to pay $22 for a meal, that's not cheap.
Yeah. And then people were posting that Vegandale was shutting off comments on some of their posts on Instagram because they didn't want people complaining. And I think they need to step back, reorganize, and take a good hard look at what they're doing, because it is just greed, plain and simple.
Absolutely.
You know?
So we encourage those of you out there who are prospective vendors at vegan festivals, or who are prospective attendees of a Vegfest, go local.
Yeah, stick with your local Vegfest, or, one that you can drive to. Maybe it's a couple hours away. And maybe stay away from these giant corporate organized Vegfests.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because apparently they're not concerned with the quality of the experience either for their vendors or for their attendees.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a number of 1-star reviews on Yelp, too, that just came out about the New York Vegandale. No water provided, no garbage cans. No garbage cans.
For 40,000 people?
Yeah, no garbage
consuming food?
Yeah.
In disposable...
Nowhere to sit. No water to wash your hands, which we already talked about. This person, let's see. Do not, and I cannot stress this enough, spend your time or money trying to attend Vegandale. My girlfriend and I had a pair of general admission tickets for the New York City event, originally scheduled for late August at Randall's Island. The organizers postponed the original 2-day event and moved it to a single Saturday at Citi Field. We arrived at 11:15 for the 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock session. Yeah, they were breaking it up into... that's one good thing they were doing, is they were breaking it up into windows. After paying $30 for parking, got through the gate to see lines of several hundred people snaking around the outside of the stadium. No event staff or signposting directing people to the event entrance, leading to a disorganized mess. After waiting over an hour in line and only making it halfway to the entrance, we gave up and hit a diner in Elmhurst.
There you go. There you go.
And there's, like I said, there's several 1-star reviews that basically say the same thing.
Yeah.
That people were walking away.
Yeah.
Even after buying a ticket, they're like, forget this. It's not worth it.
Right.
So, yeah. It's sad.
It is.
And
it really is.
And like Sam said, they just are giving Vegfests a bad name.
Right. Now, to be perfectly fair, we've said a number of times that our experience at the Vegandale in Toronto in 2021 was a positive one. It
was a little too loud, because
yes,
they set up a stage and they do like to play really loud, either hip hop music and now they're getting like live performers, and it's very loud. Maybe it's just not our scene.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
But to be, again, wanting to be completely fair here.
Yeah.
During our experience at Vegandale Toronto 3 years ago, the staff was great. There were plenty of volunteers. There were plenty of people. There were ample bathrooms and hand washing stations.
There were.
Yeah. So Vegandale Toronto had it together, at least back in 2021.
It seems like they're just cutting corners to pocket more of the money.
It seems that way, yes.
Which is a terrible thing. Someone who's not giving veganism a bad name, it's time for our assignment, Restaurant SOS. And this week's restaurant is Native Foods.
Michael Olivas nominated this employee-owned vegan eatery with 3 locations. One is in Palm Springs, California at 1775 East Palm Canyon Drive. They also have 680 South Colorado Boulevard in Glendale, Colorado, and 218 South Clark Street in Chicago, Illinois. After closing several other locations, they went to an employee-owned model, which I think is great. I love that so much, I can't even tell you.
Yeah, apparently they had a number of other locations that, due to financial reasons, they decided to shut those down and just reorganized as employee-owned, which is, I think, a really great idea.
It really is. Since our humble beginnings in 1994 in Palm Springs, California, Native Foods has evolved into a nationwide culinary phenomenon. Our journey started with a simple yet powerful belief. Delicious meals and natural plant-based ingredients are a perfect match. We're more than just a food brand. We're a movement dedicated to environmental sustainability and animal welfare. 2023 marks a significant milestone in our story. Our 3 cherished locations, Chicago, Illinois, Palm Springs, California, and Glendale, Colorado, have proudly transitioned to being employee-owned and operated. This change embodies our commitment to community, quality, and the passion that our teams bring to your plate.
Really great. Really great. And now, for my favorite part, let's check out their menu. Oh, apparently you can earn loyalty points. So if you're a loyal customer of Native Foods.
Oh, they've got me at Thai chili Brussels sprouts.
Their menu is really eclectic. It's all over the place. There's Mexican American, there's Asian American, there's like a little bit of everything. It's really great. And the food looks fantastic. Subs and sandwiches.
You know what this reminds me of a little bit?
No.
This has a very similar vibe to Strong Hearts for me.
It is kind of Strong Hearts-ish. Yeah, it is kind of Strong Hearts-ish. I can see that. Yeah.
Burgers, sandwiches, comfort foods, some really nice looking appetizers. Like I said, the Thai chili Brussels sprouts, I'm all about that. They also have some beautiful looking cauliflower dippers, because who doesn't love to dip cauliflower?
Yeah, but then they also have things like tortilla soup and nachos and elote dip. Ensalada Azteca salad. That looks really good.
Yeah,
a taco salad.
Beautiful looking salads.
Yeah, their salads look really orange cauliflower bowl. Come on. It's like a orange cauliflower, like an orange chicken cauliflower. It's like a Asian cauliflower bowl. That looks really good. They have a shawarma bowl, sesame kale macro bowl.
And then you get these beautiful sandwiches. Like, I'm sorry, I'm all about the cauliflower po' boy. There's a cauliflower chickpea shawarma wrap. Please.
Yeah.
Like, fabulous.
Tacos 3 ways.
Tacos 3 ways.
Can't go wrong with that. And the pricing is really reasonable, too.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Very, very reasonable.
Yeah.
So this is good looking stuff.
Yeah, they have a Nashville hot sandwich. They have just cheeseburgers and hamburgers if you like that. They have a brisket burger, gastropub burger. The burgers look really good.
Yeah. And they also have a catering menu. So if you're in one of those areas and you're looking for catering for an event, this looks absolutely beautiful.
You can just get a side of steamed kale. I love that.
That's pretty great.
I love that, because, the one thing about sometimes vegan food, vegan restaurants, even like Vegfest, is it gets to a point where you feel like, oh man, all we're eating is kind of junk food.
It can feel that way sometimes.
Especially at Vegfest. I would always like for somebody to do like a really great like Brussels sprout dish or something like that.
A really great salad.
Yeah. But like there you can get a bowl of steamed kale.
Right.
Seriously?
Right.
Like if you're this, because we get to the point sometimes where it's like, we just need veg right now,
Well, I mean, and at Veg Fests, I'm not sure that salads are all that practical.
No, not salads.
But doing cleaner food is not always practical, I think, for a Veg Fest situation.
It's harder, I think.
I think it is harder. Yeah. And so I completely understand that. But you're not wrong. I would love it if I went to a Veg Fest and found out I could just get a side of steamed kale.
Yeah, but I love that Native Foods has some things on their menu that is just pure, clean vegetables. Some of the bowls, some of the salads, they're really clean sounding. And And then like if you go with, your friends and somebody wants a burger and somebody wants a salad and somebody wants tacos, it's like they have a little of everything.
Yeah.
And you're right, it is a little bit like Strong Hearts because they're the same way.
Yep. But
Like
it's something for everybody.
Yeah, something for everyone. So yes, if you are in Palm Springs, Glendale, Colorado, or Chicago, be sure to check out Native Foods. Bring your friends, bring your family, and check them out because their food looks really, really good. It's time for our favorite portion of the show.
Must be listener shout-out time.
It's listener shout-out.
Just want to give a shout-out to all my fans watching. I love you guys. I love you.
This week, our shout-out goes to Jenny from San Diego.
We have another Jenny.
We do. And Jenny wrote to us recently saying, "Hi, I'm Jenny. I currently live in the San Diego area. I've changed to a vegan diet about a year ago after starting to watch a show on Netflix where people were catching live octopi and chopping them up while still alive."
Eee.
That was horrifying.
That is horrifying.
I had already been struggling with eating animal products, but that visual just pushed me over the edge. How could it not?
Right?
I haven't struggled with the dietary change at all, except trying to avoid palm oil and coconut oil in vegan products for health reasons. I love the podcast. I found you guys on YouTube, and I hope you have a great rest of the year. Love, Jenny.
Love Jenny. I love that. And thank you so much for listening, Jenny. Thank you so much. And send us your t-shirt size and address, and we will send you a Compassion and Cucumbers swag bag.
And for the rest of you out there, if you want a listener shout out, please text, email, or DM us. Let us know what you think of the show and tell us a little bit about yourself. You can also nominate someone you love for a shout out.
Yeah.
And of course, don't forget that a shout out enters you into our Meeson Chef Knife giveaway later this year.
It does. That brings us to our vegan org of the week.
This week, we are celebrating Animal Free Research UK. At Animal Free Research UK, we believe that experiments on animals are scientifically and ethically unjustifiable, and that pioneering animal-free research provides the best chance of finding treatments for human diseases. Whilst UK law enshrines the principles of the 3 Rs, the replacement, reduction, and refinement of the use of animals in research, Animal Free Research UK does not endorse the 3 Rs. Instead, our focus is and always has been solely on replacement, enabling scientists to stop using animals in medical research. We only support and fund research that uses non-animal methods. We do not fund refinement or reduction research or any research that uses animals or animal-derived biomaterials. To learn more about their work, you can go to animalfreeresearchuk.org. That
is a great cause.
Certainly is.
A wonderful organization, and I've said it before, I love it when an animal organization like this finds a lane and they just pinpoint that specific thing, and this is what they're doing, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, to fund research, non-animal based research projects. That is just, it's fantastic.
Phenomenal.
So, yeah, check out Animal Free Research UK. And it's time to wrap this baby up already.
Let's do it.
It's just whizzed by. We just have a few calls to action for you. Send us your favorite vegan recipes and send us show ideas. Let us know you listen. You can text us using that text link. Don't forget to include your name in that. You can please join the Agriculture Fairness Alliance's Vegan Voter Hub. We always put that link in our show notes, so click that link and join the Voter Hub. And subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast app. And subscribe to our YouTube. And don't forget, if your podcast app allows, please leave us a review. And if you want, make it 5 stars.
Are we back to this? Oh my God, it's echoes of the early days.
When I used to beg for the 5 stars.
Every single episode.
Yeah, nobody leaves reviews, you know? It's just, it's a cool thing, leaving a review. And I know it's like, why am I going to leave a review? But for some reason, leaving reviews on podcast apps, it increases your exposure and helps us reach more fantastic people like you.
There you go.
So leave us a review. It doesn't have to be 5 stars. It doesn't even have to be 1 star. Just let us know how we're doing.
Are you done?
I'm done.
Okay. And with that, it's time to sign off. You have just listened to episode 157 of the Compassion and Cucumbers podcast, and there's nothing left to say but where cukes and compassion are always the fashion. On the podcast.
Thanks, James.
Have a great week, everyone.
We'll talk to you next Tuesday.
We love you.
We do. Bye-bye.
The end.
If you'd like to support the Compassion and Cucumbers podcast, well, you can do that by hopping on over to our Patreon page and becoming a patron. We have all the recipes from our vegan kitchen series up there, and we'll be adding some patron-only episodes in the near future. So thank you for supporting us at whatever level that you choose, and thank you again for listening to Compassion and Cucumbers podcast.